Hey Vinyl community, this is Tim with the University of Vinyl back today. I am taking a look at two brand new releases which both came out late last week. Today is November 4th and I'm going to be taking a look at the reissue of R.E.M's New Adventures in Hi-Fi. The 25th anniversary reissue was just released last week. And that was originally released in September of 1996. And then after that, I want to take a look at the brand new album from the War on Drugs, I Don't Live Here Anymore. That album was also released, I believe, last Friday. And I have the standard black vinyl double LP to take a look at. So let's get started.
I love it. I love this record. You know, we've never been able to make a record and tour at the same exact time, which was kind of exciting. And there are definitely live elements on this record that you don't hear on any of our other efforts. I'm excited about it.
I mean, this is really just, this record should sort of epitomize what it is to be in a band. You know, you tour and you write songs and you play songs and you put out a record, and it's like, it's just sort of simple and straightforward in that way to me. And it really sort of defines the best things about being in a band.
Michael and I talked a little bit about trying to capture the kind of whirling, chaotic aspect of touring without actually writing songs about being on the road. Mitch Easterrose used to say that if you wrote songs with "on the road" in the title or in the lyrics, that you shouldn't be a musician anymore. You should just be, they should stop you from doing this. Just because every record I bought when I was 15, you know, those Deep Purple records, it's always about going to a town and meeting the groupie and you're on the road.
My idea of the record is that we're somehow grafting together live stuff that's recorded live with stuff that's recorded in the studio, and you can't really tell what's what. It's like a new, you know, it's kind of like a new sound a little bit. Although I think it kind of sounds like early Mott the Hoople a little bit.
I look
yeah. Hi. Regards to the last record, it's, you know, I think Monster was more of a songs were built around sounds and built around a certain assault, you know, and this album I think is back more to some arrangements and songs and not really built around a certain effect.
That was a clip from an archival documentary that R.E.M. did on New Adventures in Hi-Fi. You know, famously, the album kind of ended up being a turning point for the band. This was, of course, the last album that Bill Berry was featured on. After all the press commitments, videos that were shot for the album, and before they went into the studio to record, which would eventually become Up, Bill Berry decided that he had had enough. He was going to retire, become a farmer famously. And, you know, New Adventures in Hi-Fi was recorded during the Monster tour. And the concept was that they were going to try and get as much pre-work done as possible, backing tracks, full songs, different cuts and different takes. Tape was rolling during sound checks, in dressing rooms, in the bowels of stadiums, probably hotel rooms as well, if I'm not mistaken. And what they did was they took all of that tape and kind of reconvened after the Monster tour, which was a very, very difficult tour for the band. They reconvened to Seattle at the Bad Animals studio and started piecing together New Adventures in Hi-Fi. They took all of those songs that were recorded in various forms and fashions during that tour, and they added 4 brand new cuts songs that were recorded actually in the studio. The Monster Tour was very difficult. Bill Berry suffered a double brain aneurysm on stage in Lausanne, Switzerland. I think that was in March of 1995. He was out of commission for 2 months. The tour, there was a lot of pressure on the band to bring in a replacement drummer, insurance policies, etc., promoters. But they kind of stuck to their guns, and the tour was basically put on hold for 2 months, which personally I think is fantastic. You know, you think of things that happen these days, even you know, a death in the band, and the band just kind of continues on with a replacement. We can, you know, that's maybe for another video to talk about, but Bill Berry was the first to have some issues. Michael Stipe had issues as well, and so did Mike Mills. I think Mike Mills had some kind of a gastro issue and stomach surgery of some sort. I think Michael Stipe had some kind of a hernia situation. The only person who kind of went unscathed during that Monster Tour was Peter Buck. This is the package. I have the limited edition, which was issued on a really nice kind of smoke marble clear vinyl, custom label. It's a really nice solid gatefold package. That is that iconic photograph on the cover, actually taken by Michael Stipe. And you know, when you had the CD for this album, which I did, it never really gave full justice to the beauty of this art. So I love that. I also love the additional photography inside the gatefold. And the back cover looks like it was taken from probably Mulholland Drive, overlooking Los Angeles at night. This album was mastered by Kevin Gray, and it was pressed at RTI. It doesn't get any better than that. I will tell you that the sound is fantastic. With every listen, I'm picking up more detail, more nuances. Very, very nice soundstage, very balanced. Stipe's vocals are kind of front and center, but there is plenty of bottom end and bass on this pressing. My pressing was totally flat and quiet. No issues at all with that. This is one of R.E.M's most eclectic albums as far as songs are concerned. There is a little bit of everything on this album. Everything from Zither, which is a very cool instrumental. Kind of a Hawaiian surf guitar. Bill Berry is playing bass on that song. To some straight ahead rockers and some slow burn rockers. There is some really, really nice guitar tones here, courtesy of Peter Buck. Scott McCoy is on many of these tracks. You know, Scott McCoy was a side musician that they had taken on during the Monster Tour to help fill out different sounds that were required during the tour. And he eventually stuck with R.E.M., I think, until in 2011, and he was on assorted tours and assorted albums. This is the first album that Scott McCoy appears on. He is doing anything from guitar to mellotron to piano to keyboards. He is kind of a jack of all trades and was really a valuable member, a side person for R.E.M. during those years. I'd say one of the most effective listens on this reissue is the song Leave. If you remember Leave, it's kind of that tripped out. It starts as kind of like a dirge-like instrumental portion, and then there is kind of a siren-like looping synthesizer loop, and just a crazy tripped out song that sounds incredible on this pressing. Really nice straight ahead drumming by Bill Berry. And, you know, this song would have fit in nicely actually on Monster. Bittersweet Me is a straight ahead rocker. Peter Buck, I think, is on a Gibson guitar. Really nice guitar tone on the opening strains of that song. Michael Stipe, one of his stronger vocals. This is the famous. It's got the famous line, "I don't know what I'm hungry for. I don't know what I want anymore." Kind of a cool vocal from Stipe. Mike Mills has got, you know, his kind of patented soaring background vocal on a few of these songs. And he actually plays lead guitar on the song Be Mine. Be Mine is kind of a Michael Stipe love song, but it's got a really nice distorted guitar riff to it that Mike Mills is responsible for. And it was one of the 4 studio cuts that they did in Seattle. E-Bow the Letter was one of the singles. That's the duet with Patti Smith. It sounds fantastic on this pressing. And 2 of my favorite songs on the album are on the very last side. So that would be side 4, side 2 of the second record. And first of all, we have Low Desert. Low Desert is a really, really nice, a real slow burn rocker. Again, Stipe has got a fantastic vocal on it. And then finally, we have Electrolyte. And the mood is lightened a little bit with Electrolyte. Mike Mills has got a real whimsical piano line throughout the song. Peter Buck is actually playing bass and banjo on the song. And Michael Stipe has got those kind of evocative lyrics. You know, it's talking about Mulholland Drive. And basically, I think the song is set, obviously, in Los Angeles. And it's a great way to kind of close out the album. That's my take on New Adventures in Hi-Fi. The 25th anniversary reissue, highly recommended. It sounds fantastic. This is a really, really great R.E.M. album. One of my favorites from the band. And, you know, previous to this was available on vinyl. You know, 1996, probably a very limited pressing. Those copies were going for $200 or $300 on Discogs. So I was really happy. I jumped on this as soon as I heard about it, put in a pre-order, and got this limited edition, the Smoke vinyl set. I'm sure the black vinyl is fantastic as well, and I would not hesitate to go out and get that if you are an R.E.M. fan. I think it is a must-have. Here is I Don't Live Here Anymore, the latest from the War on Drugs. The War on Drugs kingpin, of course, is Adam Granderciel. This guy is just, he is a total architect. He has got classic rock down to a T. You know, last summer, John Mayer came out with his album with a lot of echoes and looking back to the 80s. Adam Granderciel is doing a similar thing on this album. This guy wears his influences on his sleeves. We're talking Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty. I hear a lot of Don Henley in this album as well, even some Bryan Adams. But this is a really, really fine piece of work. Let's talk about the packaging first. First of all, it comes in this kind of old style 80s-ish unipak gatefold. I never liked these things, and I have no clue why they're doing that now, other than maybe the effect where we've got this hidden portion to the cover photograph. And it's a double LP, 180 gram. I have a black vinyl pressing. This is kind of interesting. There is there's a really nice insert. There's a double exposure or kind of one of these glossy, you're not going to see it there. I'm going to drop a photo in of it. But if you look on the back of this, there's a time and date stamp on that photograph. And it says 7/28/89. Interestingly enough, apparently, I figured this out on Reddit. I was looking at some threads on what people thought of the album. And 7/28/89 refers to the film, the expired film that was used to shoot the cover photograph. So kind of a cool Easter egg that is basically embossed on that. You can't really tell that. You have to kind of show it in different light to be able to pick it up. Anyway, very cool. This booklet contains more photography and all of the lyrics to the songs. Like all recent War on Drugs albums, there is no shortage of strong songs on this album. I will say that they have tightened up things a little bit. We don't have as much meandering, which you can kind of get lost in, and just sonic bliss. If we think back to A Deeper Understanding, for instance, a few of those songs, one of those songs I remember was 11 minutes long. The longest track that you have on I Don't Live Here Anymore is just over 6 minutes. So things have been tightened up considerably. But Adam Grandurciel, like I mentioned before, is a total architect, and he knows how to kind of mine that classic rock sound. So we have layers upon layers upon layers of synths, mini Moog keyboards, an incredible set of pedals that Adam uses, that he will get incredible guitar tones and different effects, and synth guitar as well. And this album, beautiful photography. And then finally the back cover, we have the songs on the album. This was mastered at Sterling Sound. It was mastered by Greg Calby, who is very, very well regarded. Long time mastering engineer. The lacquers were cut in Sterling Sound's Nashville offices by a different gentleman. And I will say that this pressing, it does not have as much clarity and separation of instruments as that New Adventures in HiFi, the R.E.M. reissue did. If anything, some of these songs sound a little bit compressed, and you are kind of wishing for a little more clarity and a little more separation of instruments. But despite that, it's a good listen. I recommend this this pressing, and it is what it is. It's just not as clean and accurate sounding as that R.E.M. album and other albums that you may have in your collection. One thing kind of working against Adam Grandurciel and the producer on this album is just all of, there is so much going on in many of these songs, so much layering and layering upon layering upon layering of these different song textures. But it is, you must have this if you're a War on Drugs fan. This is a really fine album. I love the title track, I Don't Live Here Anymore. It has an opening, very atmospheric synth riff, and it kind of brings you back. It sounds a lot like, it's very, very reminiscent of Don Henley's The Boys of Summer. It's got a soaring melody to it, and very atmospheric synth and keyboards at the beginning of the song. Of course, those lovely ladies from Luscious are back again, singing backup vocals on this song to great effect. Really, really, really strong song. I also love the lead song on the album, which is called Living Proof. This opens with a very, again, you know, atmospheric War on Drugs. They go together, right? The opening, very, very kind of sparse, minimalistic piano. And then there is an acoustic guitar figure. Finally, the song kind of opens up, but it's a really, really nice, nice listen. You know, Living Proof sounds like, it sounds a lot like something that could have come from Tom Petty's Wildflowers album. That's how atmospheric, and it's a quality song. Wasted is a very, very high energy song with a driving drum beat that kind of moves the song along. High energy. Again, I'm gonna throw out another reference or influence that Adam has here, and that song, Wasted, sounds like it could have been off of Born in the USA. Grant Durciel and the producer are playing around on this album more so than other War on Drugs albums. More effects, more processing, and in particular there is a song called I Don't Want to Wait, and the first verse with Adam's vocal is heavily processed. Apparently these guys were influenced by Radiohead, and Adam thought that they should kind of toy with his vocal a little bit during that song, and it's really sounds overly processed. I don't think it works. I'm not a fan of it. You know, there was Adam released his thoughts on a kind of a song by song basis. I'm going to read you what he said about I Don't Want to Wait. Sean Everett, the producer for the album, for the most part, puts the vocal very front and center on a lot of the songs, very pop-like. I think as you get more confident in your songs, it's okay to have the vocals there. But for this one, I was thinking about Radiohead. Like, it would be cool if we just processed the vocals in a really weird way. I wanted to have fun with them because we've already got so many alien sounds happening with those Prophet keyboards and the moodiness of the drum machine. I wanted to give it something that felt like you were sucked into some weird little world. And they did do that. And at first I thought I had, listening to the beginning of the song, I thought I had a pressing defect. And I went ahead and listened to that song on Spotify. It's all there. So nothing wrong with the pressing, but overly processed in my opinion. And I don't know, it didn't work for me. Other than the song I Don't Want to Wait, I think this is a really, really strong album. It is not as strong as the previous War on Drugs album, but a deeper understanding. But it's definitely a keeper, and highly recommended. I wish the mastering on this album was as nice as that R.E.M. album that I heard just before this. But this is a fine piece of work. And there it is. I Don't Live Here Anymore, the War on Drugs. Check it out. Hey, that's it for today. I just took a look at the brand new reissue of New Adventures in HiFi from R.E.M. and the brand new release from the War on Drugs, I Don't Live Here Anymore. Both are recommended. Thank you again for watching, everybody. If you have not subscribed and you like my videos, please like the video if you have a second. And I would love to have you subscribe as well. You'll get notified as soon as I put up new videos. I do 2 or 3 of these a week. And I am really appreciating the support, all the comments that are coming in. Everybody have a great week, and I will see you soon.